So
Yeah.
what did you do after you decided to finally just branch off on your own?
I went into landscaping like anybody else that didn't have a diploma. So I worked 6 days a week. I busted my balls 10 hours a day, or until it got dark. They get crazy. We got to catch up because it rained. You don't get paid when it rains, but you work extra when it's sunny. And so it was horrible work, and I was like, something has to come from this because I can't. I would get drunk on Friday nights, go out with my friends, have to work Saturday, and I'd be puking in the backyards of people's houses. Nobody wants to see that. So I got fired a lot, hired back a lot, and then I was like, let me try to. I got a bass guitar. I started playing in bands after a while, so that was cool for a while. That was like, this is fun. But then it was like once the summer hit, you were like, okay, my friend's got a house at the shore. Now I got to go to practice, So it was like it got into a thing where I needed to be by myself because I didn't want anybody to count on me. I didn't want to count on them.
Most comedians have like a hard, life or something, but there's one, every once in a while, there's a comedian that says, no, my life is great. I guess like Seinfeld and all those guys. But for me, I had a really dysfunctional family, which helped my stand-up when I started at 19.
Yeah.
How would you describe, your childhood and leading up to this time when you're landscaping, that whole time, would you describe your family somewhat dysfunctional, or what was that like?
Not at all. That was the weird thing. It was like, I was the black sheep, but it was a very normal childhood, and it was just like everything. I never wanted for anything. I never. They never, beat me in anything like that. But it was good. I mean, it was a good day. My parents didn't drink. They didn't smoke. It was like perfect. It was like the shit you read about.
Well, so what do you think if you had to think somewhere? Like because you're like a rebel comedian. Once you start, you get that swagger. You got that. Where does that come from? You think?
Well, that came from just hanging out at the bar we hung out in. We hung out. It was a tough bar, and we wanted to be like the toughest on the island. So if people came in that we didn't know them and we didn't fight anybody yet, my job was to make fun of them until they wanted to fight us. So that was my job. That's how I got into comedy, really, because a friend of mine said, hey, you should try doing comedy. You're pretty good at this, abusing people. So
what year was that?
That was probably about 86.
And how? 86. That's when I started comedy. How old were you?
I was 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in a bar. You're making people laugh and all that. And then how much longer after that did you decide to go up?
Well, I mean, it took me. We used to listen to Stern all the time. He came to New York, so we listened to Howard Stern. We heard that Jackie the Joke Man had an open mic in Rascals and West Orange. So I ended up writing 10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I can do it. I'm ready. And I go there, and I kick ass. The first time I kick ass, which was...
At Rascals?
I needed that because I'm not one of those people that take, failure too well. And it went really good. And I was like, then I went back the next week, this piece of cake. I sucked so bad. It was horrible.
That was so typical.
It was
like
just,
when you play golf and you do well for the first time, you buy clubs and then shoes, and then you're like, what the fuck happened? I did so well in the first try.
Yeah, but it was like incredible to have like people look at you like they were so disgusted by you. And Jackie didn't know what to say when I got off, and I came up and he goes, hey, how about a hand for the Reverend? Because he didn't know what to say. So he said the Reverend as a joke because I was so filthy and I couldn't come back from anything I was doing. I wasn't ready for that. And that name stuck since then, so it's good to bomb.
Where were the lot of places that you ended up doing stand-up in the beginning? Rascals, where else?
Casual times. Like Tony Camacho started booking me. He was the first one that started booking me. I knew nothing about the business. All I knew was I was headlining after 2 years, and I had 25 minutes. And these other acts would go on before me and do 35 each. And they weren't too happy about it. And I would say, I didn't know anything a bit about it, so I would say, hey, Tony Camacho booked me here. Who booked you here? And they're like, Tony they're like, wow, he booked you guys too? And they're like, yeah, he books the room. I had no idea how anything worked. Nothing. I came into it blind.
Now, what was your first big moment where you said, "Oh shit, I could earn a living doing this"?